quite funny than nuts.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I need the, how we're gonna conduct this. All right. I'm gonna call to order this, special meeting of the Finance Organization, the Personnel Committee. Purpose of our meeting this evening is to continue the review of the City Council's future budget. And, we'll ask each of the departments to come up to the table, or if you're gonna be fast enough, you can stand. It's up to you. And, you can do your section by section, and we'll break for questions in between sections. And if anybody in the public wishes to ask a question, we'll do it at the end of each of the department sections. Up here, if you feel you have to take a quick break, just go ahead, because I don't think we're going to be as long as we were the other night. With that, the community development, first one tonight.
Good evening, councilors. Jesse Rounds, Community Development. And I realized I ran upstairs and grabbed the wrong book, so I believe it's page 146 is my budget. Awesome. So I'm just going to go over our last year. As I was walking up here, Andy reminded me that last year I followed his PowerPoint presentation. I'm not going to have a PowerPoint presentation for you, and hopefully do this reasonably quickly. Oh, all right. Well, I've got the information here. Thank you. So community development had another significant year this year. We continue to work within the city to improve cooperation and increase public involvement. In April, we took a significant step toward better integration between permitting and review processes within the fire department and building safety division, with the hiring of Rick Wood to lead the permitting and enforcement overhaul for both departments. We look forward to that work continuing into the future. Since July 1st of last year, the Building Safety Division has issued 8 new single-family home permits and closed 4 of those. They've issued 41 single-family home renovation permits and closed 23, issued 25 commercial renovation permits, and issued 2 new commercial building permits. I think it's important to note 2 of those projects, one being the 310 Marlboro multifamily development, and the other being Keene Housing's Roosevelt School development, both of which will introduce together somewhere in the neighborhood of 140 new housing units. Our Roosevelt School project also was a big part of the planning division's work this year. They received their final approval for their site plan this year, and that was along with, was one of 10 projects to receive final approval, and 11 subdivisions and boundary line adjustments were reviewed and given final approval by the planning board. The division also processed 19 administrative applications and 4 minor historic district applications. Our Congregate Living and Social Services Board began its first year of renewals. There are 22 different agencies that operate within the city that we issue permits for. And our food licensing program inspected and issued licenses for 211 food establishments. In fiscal year 25, we expect those trends to continue with a focus on improving our public outreach on the building safety side of the office through improved procedures and communication. On the planning side, we expect a busy year as we continue to update the land development code and begin the process of our major comprehensive plan, master plan redevelopment. Just want to plug that. The Keene masterplan.com website will have, there'll be a think tank at the end of May 30th and 31st, and there's a survey on that website that we hope all of you will take. Our budget for the fiscal year includes reallocating funds for more training, as we're trying to bring up the training level of our staff. And also, this is one of the years where the state will be updating our building code, so we'll be needing to purchase a bunch of new code books. So that's why we've reallocated some funds there. And we're also excited to propose reclassifying our GIS technician to a higher level, recognizing the work he does with geospatial awareness, as well as trying to get the entire city to adopt some of our digital information standards. Finally, on the planning side, we are proposing hiring a part-time administrative technician to allow our current planning technician to take on more planning duties. With that, happy to answer any questions about the budget.
Okay, thank you. Questions up here? Anybody in the public? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The parking fund.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and committee members. I'm Chelsea North, the Parking Operations Manager, and Harry McKelvey is here with me.
Yeah, Transportation and Stormwater Operations Manager.
Today, I'm pleased to provide an update on the progress and achievements of the parking fund in FY24, as well as outline the plans for FY25. Firstly, I'm proud to report that in FY24, the parking fund has achieved a healthy and balanced budget, thanks in part to strategic measures such as the increase in ticket fees and meter rates. These adjustments have bolstered our financial position, enabling us to continue providing essential services to the community. One significant development in FY24 was the expansion of the pay station program, made possible through the CIP program funds. By the end of the fiscal year, we anticipate to have 21 operational pay stations, which will enhance convenience and efficiency for both patrons and businesses. A highlight of our pay station program was the introduction of the 15-minute free option for on-street pay stations. This initiative has proven to be immensely popular among patrons and businesses while maintaining revenue stability for the parking fund. In terms of payment methods, web-based ticket payments have emerged as the preferred choice for users, reflecting our commitment to embrace modern technology. However, we understand the importance of offering diverse payment options, and we continue to support cash and check payments and in-person credit card ticket payments. Our pay stations further enhance user convenience by still accepting coins and credit cards, expanding beyond the traditional coin meters. Additionally, the adoption of Park Mobile has soared, which is our mobile payment platform for paying for meter fees. We have an estimated 300 to 500 transactions per day, averaging 10,300 transactions per month. And we expect that this will continue to increase. And these figures underscore the growing demand for mobile payment solutions, and they signify a significant step towards more modern parking management. So looking ahead to FY25, we anticipate a further increase in the adoption of mobile payments and the utilization of the pay stations. And these advancements will continue to streamline parking processes and enhance user experience throughout the city. It's important to recognize that the parking fund serves a vital role in maintaining the downtown area. From snow removal to landscaping, trash removal to facility maintenance, our operations contribute to the beautification and functionality of downtown Keene. With over 1,200 parking spaces available, our system supports local businesses, deliveries, employees, residents, events, all which are integral to the vibrancy of our downtown community. In conclusion, we are committed to sustaining these operations and functions into FY25 and beyond. By prioritizing innovation, convenience, community engagement, we aim to ensure the continued success of downtown Keene and the satisfaction for those who use the parking services. Thank you for your attention, and I welcome any questions or feedback that you may have.
Questions up here? Harry, anything to add?
The only thing I can add is I did put I asked for a supplemental for Wells Street Parking Garage for the electric services. They modified the light structure a couple years ago, and the bills went up quite a bit because of that, and I'm just trying to recoup the operation for that.
Thank you. All set? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Duncan and Don, on page 153.
You are correct, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Don Lucier, City Engineer. I'm going to start off tonight with page 153 being admin and engineering. Of course, the admin section currently missing a key member of the team. As I'm sure you all know, the Public Works Director position is currently vacant, but we will try to fill his sizable shoes. And if I were a betting man, I'd guess that he's probably watching us on YouTube right now. So we'll try to keep it on track. The admin section consists of the director, 2 assistant directors, the infrastructure project manager, as well as the front office staff, being the office manager and the admin assistant. That admin assistant is currently vacant, and we're in the process of interviewing replacement for that position. Major focus for the admin staff over the last year has been communications, sort of in support of the council's goal. The trend has been pretty positive in terms of the amount of interactions that we have with our customers. The key metric for us is our Facebook page reach. And I'm going to use some terms that I quite frankly don't understand because I'm not a Facebook guy. But we measure that success by Facebook page reaches. In FY23, the last complete year, we had 57.6 thousand reaches. And my understanding is we're on pace to beat that this year as well. The other metric that I particularly look at is our C-Click Fix issue reporting system. That system has really caught on. The last few months, we've noticed a significant number of sort of an uptick in the number of reports that we get daily. Right now, we stand at just a hair under 1,500 issues that have been reported through that system and resolved by city staff. So, we're pretty happy with that result. For engineering, the engineering division consists of myself, 3 civil engineers, and an engineering tech. During the summer, we'll bring on contract employees to help oversee the construction projects. The sort of key big themes for engineering this year, again, are the pace of capital project planning and execution. Right now, that's a bit of a challenge because of the staffing emptiness. Right now, we are short a civil engineering position. And without that person to manage those projects, we find that we're unable to complete some of the projects that were planned to be done. So there are some projects that, they're not projects that have trickle down or, problems with, delaying. So there have been a couple projects that we've delayed executing because we just don't have the staff to execute right now. The other piece that's keeping us pretty busy, and Jesse mentioned earlier, the planning board projects, the development projects that are happening in town. There aren't a lot of big, splashy, high-profile ones, but there's quite a bit of smaller projects that are continuing to go on. And for our engineering tech that oversees the interconnections with our water and sewer utility, that oversees our driveway permitting process, the construction seasons have been getting busier and busier to oversee that work. So it's a good sign for the city, I think, but it definitely creates a lot of work for us, which is a good problem. And I mentioned staffing challenges. I will say on that, and I don't think this is surprising to anyone. I don't see a solution to that staffing challenge anytime in the near future. Right now, engineers in particular are fighting for engineering resources, staff. There's the amount of federal spending on infrastructure that's happening, as part of the Infrastructure and Jobs Act, American Rescue Plan Act, those big infrastructure bills. It's great. It's a good problem to have, that all of this work is getting done and the spending is happening. But at the same time, we're working with a fixed pool of engineering consultants and qualified engineers to design, plan, oversee these construction projects. contractors to actually do the work. And we're all kind of fighting for those same resources. So right now, I would say that the consultant community is winning the fight to get that talent. They're throwing money at kids out of school, basically, and they're poaching each other's experienced staff. Quite frankly, the municipalities are not going to be able to win a game of throwing money, at people to get talent. So we try to sell the other benefits of working for a municipality, and there are many. It's the best job in the world, in my opinion. But nevertheless, it is a problem that we're going to struggle with for the next foreseeable future. So, and that's all I have to say about engineering.
Okay. We'll move into highway, unless you have questions for engineering. Okay. Want to have Harry come up?
Yep.
Duncan Watson, Assistant Public Works Director. I'm going to be here to talk to you a little bit about what the Highway Division's doing. Harry's going to cover most of it. The only thing that I would point out on page 158, you'll see the only supplemental request that's in there. That is our attempt to get ahead of succession planning in anticipation of Harry McKelvey finishing his tenure with the City of Keene at the end of this year. And because the institutional knowledge aspect of the Highway Division job is so important, we want to bring somebody on in advance of his departure so that knowledge transfer takes place. So what we would anticipate is we would have an assistant highway superintendent, as it were, or the assistant transportation and stormwater operations manager, TASWAM. We're going to try to bring on an assistant for that for approximately 3 months, to have that knowledge exchange, and then that person, assuming that they meet, the performance levels that we would expect, would be assuming that role at that point. So that would be just what I would want to point out there, and I'll turn it over to Harry for the.
Yeah,
Harry, there's a moratorium on retirements.
okay.
Okay?
Okay, that's all right. I have lots of sick time banked, so we'll work on that. Thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about, the activities and stuff that we do, that our challenges are this year. We've noticed an uptick of the emerald ash borer and ash trees. I've sent you some information in the past about some of the trees, and we're continually, in fact, I just met with Keene State yesterday. We have some other trees on Main Street that we're going to have to take out. So those are the type of unknowns that we face, and budget-wise, we have a tree budget. We have expanded our tree inventory, in capturing those type of things. So we're going to be better set off in the future to make better financial decisions on that. But that's going to be one of the challenges, of course. And winter ops is always the other challenge, that we never know what kind of winter we're going to get into with the global warming events and things like that. We're seeing challenges in our infrastructure. The roads aren't holding up as good as they used to. As you can see, the potholes in town every spring when they pop, and the drainage systems, take beatings from those, rain events and things like that too. We are also challenged with like the traffic control signals and things like that. We're managing that pretty well, considering we still have Barry Hilton from the police department as a part-time employee. Is a great resource. He won't last forever, so we'll be looking at how we manage that in the future as well. The other issue that we face always is in 3 years I've been in this position, we've never been fully staffed, and that's always a challenge. We are still getting applicants, and we're still moving on that all the time. But that's always going to be a challenge, and winter ops is probably the biggest problem with that side of it. Other than that, questions of any kind?
I would just add before we get
sorry.
the questions that, I don't want Harry to soft sell the issues that we're going to be having with trees going forward. We're finding that we just don't have budget resources to deal with all of the tree issues that we have. So we have to really distribute our resources in an intelligent way. But some of these bigger trees that are now diseased or just, they've reached their lifespan, they do require a fairly significant effort and expenditure to get those trees now down. You know, it's not even thinking about tree planting, but taking care of the existing trees. And, one of these big trees can, if you have to have a crane and closing the road down and traffic control and all these things, it could cost $10,000 to take down a big tree. So it's not an insignificant expense, and particularly we're concerned about some of the hazard trees that are, the trees that line our roadways that are seeing, dying, that they're dying, and then the trees can come down into the roadway, and we want to try to avoid that as all possible. So we are going to be working with the new Transportation and Stormwater Operations Manager to come back probably next year in our budget with a more robust tree proposal for how to handle our assets in the city.
Thank you. Questions up here? Anybody in the public? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Ah, yes, everybody's favorite topic. Well, so lots of things are happening in the solid waste field, and some of the questions that are out there are not answered yet. But the primary one being that we're going to be going out to bid this late summer, early fall, to try to secure a new contractor for our transportation and disposal aspect of our operation. So as you know, our city personnel run the recycling center and operate that on a daily basis, as well as the transfer station and our scale house. And all of these operations have a subcontractor involved with them, being Waste Management currently is in the seat of our contractor that we've been using now for, oh gosh, it's been, this iteration of the contract's been, I think, 12 years, because we've exercised every renewal clause that we have. But we're running out of those, and I know that there is some, the good news is that there's going to be some interest from competitors. You may have noticed lately that Triple T Trucking out of Brattleboro, Vermont was sold to Casella Waste. So now Casella has a foothold into this region, and they're definitely going to be interested in expanding their presence here in this area. I'm sure that Waste Management will have a response to that, but that's good for our potential bid. So. Some questions remain in terms of what those costs will be. I mean, we've had a pretty good contract allowing us to meet our expenses and generate sufficient revenue to cover those expenses. So we've never had to come back to the tax rate and say we need some additional help here. And it is my hope, my fervent hope, that we can continue to keep our operation as a pure special revenue fund, completely outside of the tax rate, and supported by tipping fees and sale of our commodities that we do. With regard to commodities, one of the things that I know I've mentioned this before, but it bears mentioning one more time. We're seeing some major changes going on in the packaging industry. And so what's happening is that we are processing more and more containers than we've ever processed before at the recycling center, but we're not seeing corresponding weight increases, and that's because the packages are being lightweighted. There's a whole variety of reasons for that, but I mean, just as an example, if you were ever to come across a water bottle from, say, 15 years ago and squeeze it versus one today, it's just night and day. I mean, the difference is remarkable. And I would expect to see that trend continue because it benefits the manufacturers for sure. And we're seeing more and more products being packaged in plastic packaging than ever before. And there's a lot of reasons for that, and we can have arguments as to whether or not we should ban plastic or not. But I don't think plastic's going anywhere anytime soon. But hopefully, with some newer technologies that are coming out that allow for better recycling of those plastics, I get asked all the time why we can't expand our recycling plastics. And the Reader's Digest version of it is it requires 40 cubic yards of material to make a bale of material. Now, it might take me, we do numbers 1 and 2 right now. So if I'm going to go after, say, number 3, there's 7 different varieties of plastics. So if I'm going to go after number 3, I have to have 40 cubic yards of that plastic in order to make 1 bale. Well, number 3 is not produced in the same quantities as numbers 1 and 2, so it might take me, a couple of months even to make a bale of that stuff. But then if I have a bale of it, I don't really have anything to sell. I need a tractor trail load of that, so I need 25 bales of that to sell. And so the constraints really come in the physical footprint of our facility. We just don't have the storage space to be able to store, 25 times 40 in terms of the number of boxes that are needed to store that material until we bale it up and then send it to market. So that's been a limiting factor. But someday down the road, I believe there's going to be a new generation of materials recovery facilities. We've been enjoying a state-of-the-art materials recovery facility that was commissioned in 1994. But I've always used the analogy of, we went to the moon in the 60s, but we didn't put wheels on suitcases until the 70s. So we sort of have a suitcase without wheels right now that, is limited in the amount of material that we can divert there reasonably. But someday, with advanced sorting technologies and whatnot, we're going to start seeing a real shift, so that it's going to be a game changer in terms of collection, processing, marketing all these materials. And I don't anticipate that happening, in the next 5-6 budget cycles, but maybe within the next decade, there will be these kinds of facilities that are opening up, and then Keene will likely at that point become a pure transfer station and transporting the materials to a facility that's better able to segregate the waste stream into the 50 to 70 sortations that's going to be required to divert more than what we divert right now, which is approximately 25%.
Questions? Anybody in the public? Thank you very much.
Okay.
The sewer fund, Mr. Costa.
Good evening, Aaron Costa, Assistant Public Works Director. Here tonight, and I'm going to start on page 202, the sewer fund, and I thought we were everyone's favorite budget review item. But the water and sewer funds are enterprise funds, which means they're not part of the general tax base, and they are funded by rates and user fees, and those fees fund the operations, maintenance, and the capital needs for those funds. Just taking a look quickly at our, mission statement of the sewer fund, and it's really to reduce the community's impact on the natural environment through the proper maintenance and operation of the city's collection system and treatment facilities, and to comply with state and federal regulations in a fiscally responsible way, and of course the protection of public health. Our primary service is to operate more than 94 miles of sewer main and force mains. We treat approximately 3 million gallons a day of wastewater at the treatment plant. We have 5 wastewater pumping stations. And we also administer a sampling and inspection program and our industrial pretreatment program. And to do that, we have 5 different focus areas. Wastewater collection is the water and sewer division, the wastewater treatment plant, and the operations staff that work there. Process and compliance testing, which is the laboratory division. Maintenance of the infrastructure is utilities maintenance. And of course, we do partner with the engineering division as well. So we do have some goals that we set for fiscal year 25. And those are the projects listed on page 202, as well as a list of accomplishments that we completed in fiscal year 24. I'll just highlight just a couple of them. The one that I'd like to highlight tonight for fiscal year 24 is the inspection of the sewer force main from Martel Court to the wastewater plant. That's a 2-mile-ish long force main. It's the one and only pipe that leads from Martel Court to the wastewater plant. Came online in 1985. And we've never done an evaluation of the pipe. And this week and last week, we actually inserted some test balls into the force main at Martel Court and sent them down to the wastewater plant. They're about softball size balls that have sensors in there, and they're supposed to kind of give some feedback on the inside of the pipe condition as it's making its way down the line. So we're in the process of doing those test runs right now, and we'll get that data back. And this may be the driver of a bigger conversation that we've already kind of talked about. We'll also be doing an exterior inspection of that force main, and again, we'll be reporting back on that as well. So that's one of the, many goals and things we have outlined for fiscal year '24. Fiscal year '25, really, again, the one I'll highlight really is around Martel Court and the issues that we've had there. And it's really going to be completing the Martel Court bypass system. So that's really a big goal that we have for fiscal year '25. Really, the budget is very similar to last year's budget. We have just a couple supplementals on page 208. One is an intern for the laboratory to help out with their sampling program, and we just have a couple of other items here in regards to some increases and in maintenance, and one for the laboratory for some outside sampling work. So really, pretty much a very flat line budget from last year minus these few supplementals. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions about the sewer fund.
Thank you very much. Questions up here? Anybody in the public wish to ask a question? Go ahead.
Just curious, because I've never asked this before. Does the pump station, does the pipe run under the tarmac for the airport?
No.
Okay.
So it,
Goes around and follows the driveway?
yeah, so the pump station from Martel Court kind of goes behind Silent Way and then runs down the access road to the wastewater plant. It doesn't cross underneath the airport runway at all.
I was just looking at that straight line on my phone, and it looks like it would go straight under the runway, so I'm glad that's not the case. That's
No.
less fun to fix.
Good question, though. All right, I think I have water next, so I'm
All
going
right.
to continue onward here. On page 218, the mission of the water fund is to provide reliable and good quality drinking water that, again, meets customer expectations and state and federal standards. And to do that, our primary service is obviously to maintain 24/7, 365 of the water mains, hydrants, meters, service lines, the treatment facilities and storage tanks. Just to provide a reliable product and reliable service. And again, of course, we administer a sampling and inspection plan for the water system. And to do that, we have 6 different divisions that help get this work done. Meters, distribution, treatment, the laboratory and the testing, engineering, and water maintenance. And again, we have a list of accomplishments that we are in the process of achieving in fiscal year '24, and then some goals for fiscal year '25. I do have one supplemental listed on page 224, again, just in response to some additional costs for some maintenance of equipment. But again, it's pretty much a flat line budget from last year. To do all of this work, the water and sewer divisions have 25 staff, and that doesn't include engineering. And again, as Mr. Lucier commented on earlier, we do have some challenges with staffing. We currently have 5 positions that are vacant. And, in addition, we do have, continuing regulations that we have to meet. And then just the increase of cost for materials and parts are always going to be challenging for our departments. So 25 people get all that work done for the city of Keene. And I'll be happy to answer any questions, water or sewer related.
Any questions up here from the committee? From the public? Very good.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Mr. Mountford.
Good evening, councilors. I'm Jim Mountford, Fleet Services Manager. I'm going to hit on a few of the items through our mission statement instead of just reading down through there. Like Aaron's division, we're also an enterprise fund. We lease 159 vehicles back to the other divisions that we take care of. Part of that lease is the contents of that are the fuel, the fluids, tires, insurance, replacement costs for those vehicles. There's a total of 266 vehicles and pieces of equipment that 4 people work on for the city of Keene. There's 6 of us at Fleet Services. Myself as the manager, I have an admin coordinator who does the same kind of job as a parts guy and a service writer at a dealership. We have 1 lead mechanic who takes responsibilities when I'm not there, and 3 other techs that are working on an average of 3 to 4 vehicles every day. And if you're not aware, we work on every division for the city of Keene: fire, police, airport, parks and rec, highway division, admin cars here at City Hall, so on and so forth. Part of our budget also consists, Fleet Services buys and sells all the vehicles for the city of Keene. We've been pretty successful in the last couple of years with auctioning off the used vehicles, thanks to our city manager and some other key personnel here. And we've done very well with that. A bunch of our vehicles have gone in some weird places like Michigan and San Diego and down south, so it's worked out pretty well. And those monies go back into the CIP fund so that we can actually use those funds to hopefully offset some of the horribly rising costs for our vehicle replacements. As it is right now, we're about a 44% increase compared to 2 years ago on the cost of replacement vehicles. We do buy our vehicles through Sourcewell funding, contracts through other counties, state agencies, so on and so forth. Fuel costs, our fuel costs, of course, are expected to go up. I'm sure that you've seen recently they've gone up by 40 cents in the last 6 to 7 weeks. Those costs also, happen with us. We bid on fuel, so we try to do the very best we can through information. One of the organizations that we hire through Boston help us out with that a lot every year. Sorry, the name of the company just doesn't come to the tip of my tongue right now. We're looking at around a $4 price per gallon. That's diesel and fuel. It's a round figure that we're trying to use. But like I said, we're not guessing. This comes through, the numbers that we get from across the country and from the government. Fleet Services, because we are an enterprise fund, when we bill out to the other divisions, and we also do our office billing, so the vehicles that we don't own through the lease program, when we work on those vehicles, like a few of the fire department vehicles, we have to bill them. Money comes back back to our funds. But what we're looking at is $128 per hour is what Fleet Services charges. That is less than major truck shops in the area by about $25, and it's about $18 more than the regular car repair shops that we have. We are very less car than heavy equipment. Only our few admin vehicles up here and the cruisers are considered cars. Everything else is heavy equipment. Our costs this year, basically our increases that we're asking for, any and all, would be because of the cost of living. As motor oil, tires, steel, unfortunately, all that stuff has gone up a lot in the last couple of years. And we're just trying to stay ahead of the curve. We tend to run out of funding this time of the year, so luckily we do winter maintenance this time of the year, working on getting stuff ready for the upcoming season, so that we keep the cost to a bare minimum. Any questions?
On page 239, the third item down, the overtime, for 21, 22, and 23, it was around 7,000 or 8,000, and then the last couple of budgets, it's over 25,000. So I was wondering why such a significant increase in overtime.
Well, I mean, we use those numbers to try and cover and offset what we have. We have guys on call 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So we have 4 staff members. Sometimes myself covers those calls. And I'm sure along the line that we've gone over on those costs, so we don't want to go over on those costs. You know, so we're trying to cover the worst case scenario. When we come in, just last week alone, we came in 3 times for the fire department. And in the winter months, when they're out doing, picking snow, I have to have a staff member on duty to come in and prepare themselves for those breakdowns. Cruisers is the same deal. We'll have to come in and change tires on police vehicles because they're not required to change tires on those vehicles, and we don't really, you know, it's not really one of those areas that an officer is responsible for that. So we have to have enough money to cover all these aspects where my staff would get called in to work on city vehicles. Like I said, we can get called in anywhere from 4 o'clock in the afternoon to 3 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes you're there. We could be there making a repair anywhere from a half an hour to 4 hours. Depends on the difficulty of the repair.
I know in the past, other departments would have like, somebody who would be on call and they would receive a stipend. Do you have a rotating on-call
We
system?
do. We have the same system.
Okay, and so whether or not they have to fulfill it, there's still some kind of compensation?
You're still responsible to carry the pager, so there is a compensation per day for that.
Okay. And is that included in this overtime number, or that's a separate figure somewhere else in here?
That is separate. It's in standby,
What page?
same page.
Oh, yeah. Yes, thank you. So if they come in, so that they're getting this standby pay, and if they come in, then they get in addition whatever hours that they work.
Right, it would be the
and
same as it is
overtime.
across the board of the rest of the public works divisions. It's a 3-hour call-in period. For us, normally that 3 hours is, you know, we're here at least that, if not longer.
Thank you.
I could also add, regretfully, we discovered approximately about a year ago that perhaps we had some misunderstandings about how this provision of the contract was being administered for fleet employees. Duncan, you may recall more of the exact details, but we regretfully actually hadn't been compensating them appropriately under the terms of the contract, and we've made some adjustments and to rectify that situation. And that is probably also a driver in the change in the cost from year to year, although not all of it.
Well, I appreciate that we have such dedicated workers that are willing to be on call, and when we need them, they're there to do the repairs. But I just wanted to understand it better, so thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Anything else up here? Members of the public? If not, thank you very much.
Well, before we actually break, I just want to take an opportunity to say that on June, so these books, these budget books, you know, are the numbers, but what's behind it are, you know, a lot of people, a lot of equipment, you know, and we have an opportunity to show the public and members of the city council what we do. So on June 18th, from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., we're going to be hosting a community night down at Public Works. We will be providing hot dogs and hamburgers to incentivize you to come down and check it out, but there'll be an opportunity to tour the fleet facilities, you know, to actually, you know, literally kick the tires. We'll have our equipment out there. There'll be lots of displays for educational purposes, and you get to meet the staff and talk to them about what they do, because we're very proud of what we do. And we would like to show that off. And so we have an opportunity to do that on Community Night, June 18th, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Public Works, and we hope to see you there.
It's good to see that we're going to do that again. Yeah, because we used to do that every year until COVID, so that's great.
At COVID every time. Anything else? Thank you very much. Jim, don't run away. I want to see you.
Here or there?